So, I've spent a lot of time since really, I don't know, 2015 when Standing Rock happened. I've really started to look at the cracks of our system and started to understand who's really here and what we didn't know or what we haven't really embraced. And I'm really done picking sides. I am really on a quest to find and rebuild the middle. I don't want to talk about what divides us. I want to talk about what unites us. There is so much that unites us. The fighting that I have witnessed on both sides, participated in, has truly enlightened me into who we as Americans, one, think we are and who we want to be. I realized I never really thought I was on the left or on the right. For sure, I've never been on the right. My mom, I grew up with a mother who was a Republican her whole life. And I always felt like I was somewhere in the middle. I used to register as a libertarian, and I kind of liked the fiscal policies of the conservatives, and I liked the social policies of the liberals. And so I always found it really hard. But every time there's a presidential election, it becomes like this desperate, you must join this side or we're going to lose our country. You know, it's actually the division that could lose us our country. It's the fact that the middle has dropped out of the conversation. It's just two views. It's ugly. We all know it. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I want all of us to just take a step towards it, towards the middle. I feel like I'm standing here, reaching to the left, reaching to the right, and really deep diving into the understanding. I mean, really deep diving on both sides with, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am a white woman born in 1971 in the United States of America. I have lived in 3 countries and spent a significant amount of time in at least 10 across Europe. I left America in 1996 and came back in 2010. And it was nuts thinking about how different everything was. I felt like a foreigner when I first moved here in 2010. And I'd grown up here. And it was interesting times. It was hard times. The economy was really bad. I've lived really high in life on the Lake of Zurich and really low on welfare in America. So, America to me is a dream and a promise of immigrants fighting for freedom and the pursuit of happiness. This is a dream that we all share. All share. Without forgetting the indigenous. They share that dream too. But they do carry the trauma of the brutality that took place in order to form this nation. This country was stolen and built by slaves that we brought here as immigrants. So we, the enslavers, being immigrants, and the enslaved being immigrants, and we, the immigrants, run it. This is a hard truth. This is the truth, though. It's undisputed truth. The way it's told, or the way that it's filtered, whitewashed, whatever you want to call it, without being political, it just isn't the story that we all learned. And I think by recognizing this truth, that all people in this country from the beginning have had to fight for their equity and right to be a full functioning member of society and to be considered equally an American. There is only the white man who never experienced that fight. I'm a woman. I had to fight for my right. My mother was a single mom in the 70s. That was a crazy concept in a wealthy neighborhood, driving a Porsche, doing it on her own. She was inspiring, and against all odds, provided us with a wonderful life. So, the only people that feel threatened by talking about the truth are those who wish to keep this power structure in play. Most people, including many white men, do not feel threatened by talking about our history. Women were not equal. They fought for their equality. Natives were not equal. All other colors were not equal. All other religions were not equal. The promise of America to bring immigrants to this nation was also based on freedom from religious persecution. The founders knew that regardless of their own beliefs, the separation of church and state was crucial when building a society of immigrants of diverse backgrounds. The foundations are known and they're undisputed. And this is not meant to shame, but to enlighten, to be better and grow from this point. We are always supposed to be in search for a more perfect union. There is more that binds us than divides us. And the only place that we can find it is in the middle. It's 2023 in the United States of America, and I can tell you, after diving left and diving right, I can say that we're all fighting each other to obtain the exact same things. We all want to be safe. We want our children to be educated. We want our freedom. We want the opportunity to realize the American dream. Every one of us wants health care access. Every one of us wants good education. Every single one of us wants our children to be safe at school. And it's not really about singling anybody out for shame. It's about understanding where we came from. To live the American dream. We are one of the most powerful nations in the world, but without a healthy and educated society, we cannot be the best. We're all immigrants. Someone in your bloodline, somewhere, came and fought to live in America with a dream for a better way of life. Unless you're indigenous or native. Which means we're all immigrants. No one wants to be told what to believe. So why are so many pushing for one belief? I understand. Belief is a powerful thing. It's very personal. It seems obvious to those that have it. Everybody's life is different, and everybody's upbringing is different, and everybody's traditions are different. We are a diverse nation. There is no, I'm from America and this is my culture. That doesn't exist. The American culture is built on the dream of freedom, of opportunity, and the pursuit of happiness. We're all in the same boat. And leaving God out of the conversation does not mean discounting God when it comes to running a nation of diverse people. You can be assured that God will take care of that if you do have belief. Politics, well, there's a sticky subject these days. I can just say that man, meaning men and women, man, human, has been thirsty for power and war since the beginning of time, and that will never, ever change. However, our government structure was put together for the people by the people. It was designed to protect us from our government, from bad men who take over the government, from bad leaders elected. The distraction and the blame is all projection and deflection. It's a game, and it's played cleverly to divide us. The middle is where we have to be. We are so wrapped up in our those that are not receiving justice, or those that are demonizing others, and where the strong arm of justice is unequal, or whatever the case may be. It really all is just a human construct designed by humans, which means we can change it. We need to end lobbying and strictly audit all government contracts. This is legalized bribery and open to corruption. Term limits for all. Thank you for your service. Hand the torch to the next generation. I don't care really how it's divided up. I mean, I think okay, we have 8 years for president, 8 years for governor, 12 years, I think the Senate, that's 2 terms, and 12 years for the Supreme Court, 6 years for the House. Something like that. People staying in government at 80 and 90 years old is lunacy. How can anyone truly be effective? I mean, I'm not saying there's been great people in government that stuck around and fought. I'm not saying that we should discount all of that. I'm saying, but in practice going forward, does that really make sense? When you're in the same job for years, complacency sets in. And corruption absolutely could very easily just slip on by, because I've been in the job for 35 years, seen it all. Complacency, term limits for all. I'd say that solves something. That will solve something big. Okay, gun laws. I mean, the Second Amendment is so strong, people will freak out at even the smallest discussion about guns. The right to gun ownership in this country is one thing, but we shouldn't be handing them out like candy. Even back in the Wild Wild West, they'd have like big barrels where it's like, park your guns here. Don't bring them into the saloon, So let's be honest. I mean, there's always been some level of checks and balances. And we do have checks and balances. And I know that guns don't kill people, but unvetted, unstable people kill people with guns. We can fix this without harming or encroaching on the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not say that all of these types of guns are absolutely supposed to be access. And there's levels. Like, why can't we have levels? Okay, you're a real responsible gun owner. You've had a gun for whatever, how long? You've never had any problems. Okay, wonderful. You register. You're golden. Okay, let's move you up to whatever kind of gun that you need to have. Healthcare. Healthcare. Everyone fought, this whole idea of, like, I call it Obamacare, Affordable Care Act. I mean, in reality, try taking that away from people now. It's the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do. It's scary because it seems like socialists. And it's not. It's social responsibility. Social responsibility is not socialism. We are one of the wealthiest nations in the world. One of the most powerful nations in the world. And our people don't actually have easy access to health care. Every citizen does not have this. That's strange. And our education system, come on. Education has to have an equal standard across all districts across this land. Every child should have the same standard of education, regardless of that child's starting point. How is that not a civilized, responsible, healthy society which makes America great? These things, I think, unite us. Surely. Opinion on implementation can be negotiated from the middle. This is all a human construct. The basics of what we need are not even taught. You put a seed in the ground, you water it, you care for it, and you eat clean food. Regulations are heavy on one side and totally lax on the other. Absolutely unbalanced standards of regulation. Regulations save lives. They just do. The problem is when it's too lax and too important, greed and corruption creep in. Because usually regulations are an industry that is powerful, an industry that is worth a lot of money. So greed and corruption with lobbying, contracts, sponsorships, whatever you want to call it, campaign donations, or whatever. All of these things need to be looked at and changed. Bribery is a serious issue with the way that we do our lobbying. Accountability matters. A simple public filed report on all government agencies every year with your ballot. Whatever. Needs to be every year in the mail, by email, whichever way you choose. I mean, by email is much greener, of course, and that's important, in my opinion. All government agencies need to be held accountable. The FDA, the EPA, the AMA, the ADA, the FBI, the CIA, the DOD, the DOJ, whatever other acronym I missed, all of them need to submit a yearly statement report on the goals that were set, the goals that were achieved, the things that went wrong, and the bullet points of how it's going to be improved. And we just want a yearly report. How are those agencies doing? They seem to be very important in our lives, and we pay for them. My boss gives me a review every year. They work for us, right? Exactly. The media, I mean, what the actual hell is going on? I can't believe the sound bites and the headlines, and that's all that people look at. If you're not reading it, you're not hearing it correctly. When did news and opinions, when did that line get blurred or obliterated, actually? Obliterated. There is no line. And if you don't have a line on what is news and what is opinion, the lies and the deception, if not clear that it's an opinion, spreads, I mean, I can't even call it discourse. I mean, it's so beyond what it spreads and creates. Opinions are healthy. They just need to be clearly stated that this is news, facts, checked, sources clear, no more bullshit, like whatever. And they all do it. Everyone does it. Everyone. There's not one. I watch, and I have watched all of them. OAN. I've watched Fox News. I've watched. I've read Breitbart. I've done it, and I've done the CNN and the MSNBCs and the. Oh my goodness, they both do it. It's the same thing. We need to hold them accountable. If they get violations, whatever they are, whether it needs to be structured violations, then they can't participate in the world of journalism. Is that bad? When the flow of information is so crucial to an educated, united society? No. I love America so much. I really do. With all its flaws, all its history, I dream of the promise. But I do worry about its trajectory. We can fix it in the middle. The two sides of our nation are so extreme that they curve around to form a circle, and they're holding hands in the back. That's how extreme they are. We can be united from the middle. It is the only way that we are ever going to solve the problems that we have, that we're facing. And we have a lot of different problems, but we're also a very resilient nation. Times right now are crazy. The last thing we need to do is be fighting on Facebook or Twitter or Truth Social or Telegram and all of these places that people are fighting when they're fighting for the same thing. Everybody wants the same thing. We all should take a step or two towards the middle. That's where I'm going to be. Meet me there, in the middle. Together we rise. Divided we fall. The middle is where I'll be.